So thank you everyone for joining our webinar. I hope that you can all hear us and see us. My name is Nikol, and I'm the partnership manager from LuggageHero. Shortly, I will be introducing all of our speakers. But before that, I just wanted to let you know that our webinar will be for 1.5 hours, and it is being recorded, and the recording will be available to you and sent to you after the webinar. The structure is that each speaker will go through their topic. After the topic, then they will have 5 minutes each to respond to questions, which you're welcome to raise in the chat on the right-hand side. And at the end, we'll also have time for a Q&A if there is further questions. So let's get to it. So today the topic is how to position your brand and attract travelers in a post-COVID environment. It's my pleasure to introduce you our first speaker, Simon Lehmann, who is the co-founder and CEO of AGL Consulting. Simon will be sharing the latest status and predictions for the short-term rental industry. After Simon, we have Mayan Gordon from Mayan Gordon Media, who will take over and share with us how to work with TikTok to position your brand. And last but not least, we have Shelley Gurman from Guesty, who we have been working with closely on setting up our free integration on their marketplace. And today, Shelley will be talking about how you can adapt your business model to ensure longevity post-pandemic. So before we kick in, I just want to say a big thank you to all our speakers for joining us today and for sharing their knowledge with us. So let's get to it. Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nikol. Thank you, LuggageHero. It's great to be here today and provide the contribution to this amazing topic that you're trying to cover. So from our side, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of trends and the outlook of the industry, since I've decided to look at the entire technology landscape with you and make some predictions into what is happening. Since, just navigating with the brand is one challenge, while we see more and more efforts for property managers to actually go into direct distribution. At the same time, you also need to make sure you choose the right technology and understand where we believe the technology landscape of vacation rental is heading to. So now I'm going to share my screen with you. The landscape and what we're doing in our industry in terms of what are we connecting. So overall, in terms of trends, we're seeing increasing competition and putting a lot of pressure on the short-term rental space. And we can talk about this pre-COVID and obviously I always say during COVID, because everybody who thinks the virus is over is definitely has stayed too long at home. That it's still something that we need to be very mindful in how we're conducting business right now and actually providing safety and security and comfort to our guests going forward. And therefore, we need to be very careful. While we're sitting on the best spot in the travel industry, where providing vacation rental is the best travel alternative right now, compared to many other travel verticals. So we need to safeguard our interest. So one thing that we have seen is that companies have, in the pre-COVID, very much focused on revenue instead of real profitability. And I think, when you see that your demand is basically drying out entirely, it was very quickly to be seen how people have focused on profitability versus the ones who have focused on just by sheer growth and revenue, which has become very challenging in terms of navigating through a period where incomes are a lot lower and you need to safeguard your business and actually making sure it's on the right footing going forward. So we say also for post-COVID and also what you do with your brand and everything else, profitability comes first. So, profitability equals oxygen. Oxygen is important to breathe, and so is profitability in order to sustain your business model. So something you need to keep in mind, that we're shifting the mindset also at AGL Consulting with a new product called AGL Pricing Solution, where we start focusing on profitability from the bottom up and actually taking all cost metrics into consideration, not just revenue, because we're not airlines and we're not hotels. So just to set that stage again, I mean, we're not building rockets here. We're in a very simple business, and we're connecting owners with guests. That's all we do. So this is pretty simple and easy to understand. In the past, we have used newspaper ads to advertise our vacation rental, and then it got a bit more sophisticated. Property managers came in to orchestrate this ecosystem. And interesting enough, we can proudly say that vacation rental is a lot older than hotels, and we can be very proud of that. And also, the sharing economy was not invented by Airbnb or any other. The sharing economy has been around for a lot longer than that. And for example, we probably have even shared our caves many thousands of years back with fellow hunters. So nothing new in bringing guests to owners and bringing this business together. But it has become a bit more complicated. So direct marketing is more important than ever. We have started our own website. We needed a PMS, a property management system, who can manage the bookings. And that's pretty much how we worked, right? So we had the direct website. We advertised, we started to advertise on Google. And then we had, if not Excel, we had a PMS to deal with. And then moving on in time, then OTAs, marketplaces came about. So we have Google as a top meta, if you wish. Then you have Booking.com, Airbnb, VRBO, Expedia, TripAdvisor, and others have come in. And then it became challenging. So one side you had your direct marketing strategy, and the others, you started to deal with OTAs who grew rapidly. They invested a lot of money into Google, grew their brands, and became very, very powerful and meaningful. And our direct brand has become less and less and less important, which is also, it puts a lot of pressure on your profitability, because third-party distribution is obviously costing you more money, because the margin that we're achieving between owners and guests has stayed pretty much stable in the years. There's difference between urban margins and leisure margins. Leisure margins are traditionally still a bit higher than urban margins, because we've seen more competition by Airbnb providing this marketplace to direct owners. In the leisure industry, the margin is holding up substantially higher, and is about overall 10%, actually 50% higher, about 10 from 30 to 20% overall. So OTAs got stronger. It added more complexity in how we're conducting our business. And then in order for us to integrate with these different channels, we needed channel managers. So it was very hard for ourselves and the PMSs to integrate in all these different channels. Each of them have different APIs, changing their APIs constantly. We began integrating through XML feeds in terms of our availability and prices. It got more sophisticated. APIs came into the game. But this required a lot of technological know-how, and channel managers found their space to offer their services to make it easy to implement with many, many different distribution channels. And of course, there's hundreds more. Further down the track, metas came into the game. So price comparisons, meta search, it has already been involved for so long that we've already seen the first metas disappearing, new ones coming in with Holiday, Apartum, Kayak, Home2Go, just to mention a few. And they're providing additional traffic through a pay-per-click model in most cases, and therefore also Google can be seen as a meta search provider. As we all know, Google is getting more active in the vacation rental space, in products similar to hotel ads, where you can advertise your product directly on Google and get the traffic directly to the property management system, or to the property manager directly. So that's the distribution side, and obviously the direct booking piece has been reduced. We've become also, in terms of pushing direct marketing strategies, very complacent. OTAs have taken over that in a lot of cases. In Europe, it's still a little bit lower than in the US. In the US, we estimate third-party distribution in the vacation rental industry to be around 80%. In Europe, it's anything between probably 50, 60, and even 70%. So we still have slightly a higher direct booking piece in Europe than we have in the United States. And the reason is also that we have very established, very large brands in Europe who take a lot of direct business, especially in the UK, but also mainland and Southern Europe. We have very strong brands who have been around with thousands of properties, and they still attract quite a bit of direct business. But obviously, going to OTAs has become very comfortable. Booking, especially booking VRBO and HomeAway and Airbnb, have generated tons of traffic and made it quite easy in order to bringing demand. And if we look at that, we see that about 80% of booking revenue is generated from the 5 largest OTAs when we look at third-party distribution. So it has definitely consolidated already quite substantially. And it's quite interesting how this has evolved. Interesting to be seen how it's going to evolve post-COVID as well. We definitely have seen some shifts by all big OTAs as well. Can they maintain their market strength, or is actually Google taking over a stronger role going forward? That still needs to be seen at large. Okay, so let's move on from that. And then all of a sudden we started to realize, hey, we need some data to navigate in this industry. So data on one side, so you have business intelligence and data companies like AirDNA, Transparent, and others, and then you have the revenue management systems, because all of a sudden we realized, well, we're 20 years behind the airline and the hotel industry. Hey, we need to do revenue management as well, because we're facing margin compression. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we need to safeguard our margins, and the ecosystem has become super complex. And we realized, hey, maybe instead of changing our prices once a year max, we might change it twice a year. So you already start needing a revenue management system, and now we're pretty much all the way to dynamic already. But we do believe at AGL Consulting very strongly that piece is still broken, because they look at the revenue piece of it and disconnect the operating costs. And one of the main things we need to remember in our industry when we compare with other travel verticals, such as hotels and airlines, is that we in the property management vacation rental industry have far higher variable costs than fixed costs for booking. And in the airline industry and the hotel, it's totally the opposite. So when a plane flies from A to B, the fixed costs are about, depending on how many passengers fly, fixed costs are the same, crew is the same, fuel is the same, ground handling operations are the same. And therefore, they disconnect their revenue management from cost management. In our industry, we can't do it. It's the opposite. 70% of our costs are actually variable costs directly associated to a booking, depending on the services you provide, cleaning, check-in, maintenance, distribution, etc., and even technology solution, which is based on revenue, that each booking triggers more cost than if you don't have a booking. And so we need to start looking at the cost base and not just simply at the revenue base. So that's something we very strongly believe in. Gone a bit too fast. So what we have done is something very similar to the online travel world. We have verticalized the hell out of this industry. And now you can say, was this smart or was this not smart? Well, that needs to be seen, but everybody wanted a piece of this value chain. So if you look at the guests and the owner value chain, so this is what we're trying to connect. We try to connect guests with owners. That's all we do. But now we need to navigate through 12 different platforms in order to get there, because all of a sudden we're seeing companies like providing house automation solution. We see operation software. We see RBO technology, website builders. We see PMSs expanding their value proposition, one of which is on the call today, represented by Guesty, who has really clearly has said, we want to own a lot more of that piece of that value chain and actually, bring the customer closer to us. We offer direct marketing solution, guest communication, and last but definitely not least, auxiliary services such as LuggageHero and others who offer, services in the destination that the guest needs as well, which I don't think a PMS will ever offer. So nothing to worry about there for LuggageHero for the moment. But in terms of other pieces of the value chain, yes, for sure, it's going to get complex here. Because one thing we should remember ourselves, when we're in this ecosystem, we are facing quite a lot of complexity, and we need to deal with many different people to actually have that value chain efficiently mapped, and it's costing money and it's becoming complex. So for property managers, that is not easy to navigate, because we can pretty much use a tool for everything that we want to do, because we are in the process of fighting margin compression in a super fragmented market. So one thing we see as trends, pre-COVID, we talked a lot about consolidation in this industry. Now, I don't think that this consolidation will continue because we have not seen models that have been able to execute successfully. And you have plenty of them. Very large ones like Vacasa raised a ton of capital. And building a property management business at scale has proven to be super difficult. Now with COVID, the entire world becomes local again. So I think that's why this is going to be super hard, but also in terms of technology, we're seeing a super fragmented space. And a lot of these companies, most of these across these verticals, have raised a ton of capital, but they have not made money yet. So the verdict is not out yet. So they're burning cash. Now they need to safeguard their business. And each and every one of them across this value chain wants to expand its value proposition and its offering. Because one thing all these companies across this value chain have in common, there's one thing they have in common. They all have the same customer, all of them. It's the property manager. So on a daily basis, they can pass on the door handle to each other, where everybody's trying to get a piece of this value chain because they're focusing on the property manager with all the different services that are out there. And that's becoming complex. And we need to make money. So just to give you this is a quick snapshot on just a few PMSs out there. And on purpose, I've put Guesty in the middle so it's a bit easier to see. But of course, there's many others. And all these guys are competing with each other. And there's some great technology out there. There's some good solutions out there. And now it's a race of providing the best solution to the property manager in a super highly fragmented environment, which is going to stay fragmented. We are very sure about. So if you then have this snapshot on the different verticals, it is amazing. So look at all these companies out there who are competing with each other on all the different verticals, being it home automation, operation software, RBO technology, website builders, ancillary services such as LuggageHero, Stasher, check-in scan, Superhawk, so insurance, check-in passport for check-in data. Super interesting, amazing startups. But we have one big economical thing to fight. Everybody of these companies are being funded. They need to survive. They need to make money. And is it going to happen while the entire industry is actually fighting margin compression? So when we think about that, we have given half of our margin to the OTAs that we've had in the past. So let's just for easy mathematical reason purposes, we're taking in average a 30% gross margin from between guests and owners to what we do. So half of that has gone to the OTAs, to the distribution piece. So then you have 15% left to run your business across this massively challenging ecosystem that is super fragmented across different technology providers. And that's super challenging. So I think the natural result of that will be going forward that the market will start consolidate across these value chains. There will be mergers. There will be companies who are putting themselves together to build a more meaningful product, combine certain things. Certain things I do believe are highly specialized, are highly technology driven, which will remain an individual vertical. For example, ancillary services, that's a hands-on brick and mortar business as well. So that's something that will probably stay on its own. But companies also, and another piece on the other side, like house automation, where it's about automatic door locks, integrating IoT within a building. That's a challenging platform. These are challenging technologies out there, and they will probably remain. The others, it's now a matter of surviving, growing, and then seeing the bigger ones and the better financed ones will survive. But this absolutely massive fragmented tech landscape that we're seeing today, that is putting more pressure on the property manager to make margin, adding complexity, will not sustain the way it is today. And that's what we see as a definitely clear trend, because also the PM needs to make choices. Because at the end of the day, it's said that technology should create better efficiency, meaning the profitability will increase. And that is not really happening right now. So it's even double challenging for the property manager. What is helping me to increase my profitability, and which piece do I totally do on my own, and which I can solve with technology and maybe reduce my operational expenditure overall. So it's very interesting out there, but we do believe that the market will consolidate. The biggers will eat the smaller, and the bigger ones will get bigger ultimately. And it's also about a race to funding. Obviously, COVID has put quite a number of companies also into very challenging situations in terms of lack of funding. Even though they have amazing technology, good customer relations, it's going to be super difficult. So I think we need to focus on what we're good at. We need to focus on partnership and expanding our value proposition with working closer together on the entire within the entire ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Simon. That was some great insights. I will just have a look. If anyone has any questions for Simon, you can either post in the chat now, and we can take it maybe after at the end of the Q&A. If there are no questions now, then we can move on to Mayan. Welcome, Mayan. Thank you so much for having the time for us today.
First of all, thank you guys so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about TikTok, especially in the context that Simon was just talking about, growing your margins and really fighting this battle of, I would say, not having a strong brand, right? You guys, when you're using all these booking sites, are really competing mostly on price because people are not really seeing your business through your lens. They're seeing it through the platform's lens, and the platform's really deciding how you're displayed. They're also making you look relatively the same as every other listing because of the similar format. And TikTok is a huge opportunity for hospitality, property, hotel brands, anything in that area to start building a real brand outside of these different listings, outside of the ways that you normally get bookings, in a way that maybe doesn't pay off in the first month or first 3 months, but in month 6, in month 12, not only is increasing your bookings a significant degree, but also bringing in new opportunities to create revenue in completely different ways that you weren't even aware of were a possibility for your business. I'm just going to quickly go over what is TikTok in case you're not familiar with the platform. It is the largest platform that exists right now. It's, I think, still smaller than Facebook and Instagram in terms of number of users, but in terms of the growth, in terms of attention, it is by far the biggest name in the game, and it's never existed online before, at least that I've been aware of, in terms of really allowing you to go viral and convert that engine into opportunities and into that is on TikTok. The you get on any particular video is not tied to the number of followers you have. It's not tied to any previous posts you've made. It's really going to, I would say, perform completely based on the quality of that video paired with the attention and where that attention is in the world. So TikTok has tons of AI that it's built on, so artificial intelligence. Now it's got artificial intelligence that can read content, right? When you upload a video, it can tell what type of content's in that video. It also probably has artificial intelligence that can read your facial expressions, so it can understand how. It also has the same type of AI that compare your viewing and watching behaviors, matching those up with other pieces of content to recommend them to you. So the reason that I think there's such a big opportunity in the hospitality industry is because I think one of the biggest things you guys struggle with is differentiation. I know this because I'm a great consumer of the hospitality industry. I travel every year, probably, again, this year's a little different, but probably 6 to 10 times per year. And I'm always looking at different places to stay, comparing both hotels to Airbnbs and VRBOs and different sites like that. And a lot of times I never feel an emotional connection with anything that I'm looking at through a site. But when I'm on TikTok and I come, let's say, a video by a realtor or by a property manager, an emotional connection there, there's much more of me being really curious about that particular property or that particular company and that particular brand. And I usually want to dive into and find out more about that brand TikTok. So you can think of TikTok many different ways. And I apologize for some reason. My computer's been having issues today. Luckily, I remember the presentation by heart, so no problem. I think, with TikTok, there is a huge opportunity to not only convert that attention off platform. So a lot of people think, well, I can't book listings through. Would it really help me? You can already link your profile, and they're starting to release links in the videos themselves to where you could link to your website. And personally, as someone who's been a heavy shopper of accommodation when I travel, being able to go to the actual company is always way, way more convincing and has a higher influence on me wanting to book from that site than going to a booking agency or one of those, kayak.com websites. And the reason for that is, one, there's way more information you can provide on your own website than you can on any of these listings. Two, a website looks way nicer. Like, you can choose all these different great colors. You can put in your own pictures and galleries, and pictures and words have a very powerful effect on people. And that's why TikTok is so meaningful, is that it's the next level. It's really all about video marketing. And if you don't know yet, video marketing is the absolute driving sales and conversions for most businesses. Yes, services is a little less than product-based businesses, but 93% of people have said that they watched a display video or some type of video before making a purchase. That's a significant number. That's almost everyone these days does some amount of online research, right? When people are even going to booking sites, they're comparing your listing against many, many other. They're driving traffic from TikTok. Not only are they already interested in your brand before arriving to your website, right? Because they liked and saw the video, and that's what piqued their curiosity, but also solely looking at and thinking about your property or your available options. And it's really powerful to take the choice from who do I want to stay with to which room, which of the properties do I want to stay at. And if you're not thinking about being brand right now, I can promise you you're going to lose in the long term, because as Simon was saying, there's so many options. And a lot of them are starting to compete in a way where it's hard for the consumer to see the difference. And when it's hard for the consumer to see the difference between one thing and another, it devalues both of those things. So being able to go on TikTok, create videos that help you stand out from all these other businesses, even just in the context of saying, we have a property in Dallas, Texas, and we showcase it in our TikTok, and it has this many views. It's got 100,000 views. Even just that sentence piques my curiosity, would pique anyone's curiosity. Even though I'm not going to Dallas, Texas, I might still want to see what it looks like and see why it's getting all that attention. So TikTok's really about attention, being able to convert that attention to opportunity for you as the business owner. And also, I would say subliminal marketing. So TikTok is really, really a powerful tool of marketing because it's only showing people 10 to 15 second videos. And when you're scrolling through repetitively on a 10 to 15 second video, you're not in a state of full consciousness. In fact, you're mostly in a subconscious state. And so this is why if any of you have ever been on TikTok and spent, let's say, more than 20 minutes scrolling through videos, at the end, you probably don't remember any of the videos besides maybe 2 or 3 of them that you might be able to recall. But you'll feel this strange fuzzy feeling of like, I had a great time. I don't really remember any details. Now, do you remember the details? Yes, of course, your brain is super powerful. It's in the subconscious portion. But that repetitively over time can benefit your brand in many ways. One, it can create actual loyalty within the app where people, again, go outside the app, find you, recommend you, talk about you. Outside of that, you can create with subliminal marketing a scenario where someone sees your brand time. It's not the first time. They've seen it before. First time they recognize being aware of seeing it. And they go, huh, this is new. I feel like I've never seen it before, but it seems so familiar, right? I'm sure all you guys have experienced it where you go, in your conscious, you go, this is something new. I've never seen it before, but it seems really familiar. And I would almost guarantee you that's because you've been exposed to that product, that brand name, that item in some format that you can't remember, but your brain remembers. And this is a really, really powerful thing, because if people initially meet your brand and when they're exposed to your brand in a real way, and they already have this connection to it, they're going to be so much more likely to click those buttons, make that purchase. Even though people who are shopping for accommodation are doing it in a way where they are doing research and it is something thought out, it's also still very impulse based. And if you can connect with someone emotionally through that impulse, then you can get them to book without even really thinking about your competitors. And that's a powerful. Now let's talk about outside of even just bookings, how I think TikTok can be really, really useful, guys. So it's a great market research tool. If you have any questions about your business, about this industry, you can create videos where you directly ask this question that you have to the world, right? And if the video is good enough, you'll get a really great amount of responses. So for me, granted, I do have 2 million followers, so like my numbers are a little bit more than you should expect, but my range on comments when I ask a question in the caption goes from, let's say, 100 on the low end to 10,000 responses on a single video. Within that amount of data, I can pull out some amazing information that other people simply don't have that data for. Once you have unique data that you can apply to your business, you really take yourself out of the main pack and you start to differentiate yourself, not only based on attention and content, but based on real world value to your customers. Knowing that a beach towel that's red is much more impactful than a beach towel that's blue is something meaningful to the customer experience, right? And it's something you would never necessarily think of or find out without having some tool to give you significant and meaningful feedback. So definitely, you guys, even if you're not interested, you go, my following's not on TikTok or my customers aren't on TikTok. I don't care about growing a following. Do you care about understanding your customers better? If you do, TikTok is the perfect tool for you. Okay, now let's talk about revenue sources. So in addition to the bookings, TikTok really opens you up for numerous other revenue sources that can completely help and change your bottom line and your margins. I would say the first one, the most widely available, the one that I know every large creator is making money off already, is music promotion. Now you might go, well, I'm not in the music business. Why should I care? Well, it's like, you're clearly a business person. Do you like free money? Like, do you like easy money? I do. And music promotion is absolutely the easiest money you'll ever make because it's someone messaging you, reaching out to you. I don't do any reach out. And again, this is the nature of TikTok, where TikTok shows your content to people who want to watch it. Therefore, giving you a huge opportunity to make new connections, make new partnerships, relationships that are going to benefit your business and bring you value. So, for example, let's say you're building up your account and it's all property videos and it's great. And then someone reaches out and they say, hey, I'm a music artist. I've seen your videos. I think they're awesome. Would you be able to play my song that I just released on one of your videos? I think it would go really well with it. And you respond back, yeah, no problem. My rate for music promotion is $125. And they go, awesome, great. And they send you $125. They send you the link to the music. You click on the link, you add it to a video that you are already going to post anyways. Boom, money made, everyone's happy. So, it's all 100% profit. So I think that can really help. I know that it's really helped in my businesses to be able to have the extra income directly monetized through TikTok, that it gives me the ability to focus even more on value and less on sales or the bookings themselves, because I have the money, and bookings are just about money. They're not about customers. They're not about brand. And thinking about those things is what's going to give you a long-term stability and a long-term advantage. Because if you start working with these music artists, not only are you making money, you're forming relationships with music artists who are probably, again, if you have good conversational skills and marketing skills, you can get tons of free promotion and marketing from these connections that you're building from music artists. And music artists are incredibly influential. Their followings are much more diehard than most type of, let's say, creators' followings. So that's just one way. Another one's merch. Like, I don't know how many of you guys sell t-shirts that have your brand's name on it, but when I travel, I always buy clothes. I'm looking to buy something to take back with me to my home that I can wear to remember the amazing time I had. So it opens up a huge opportunity for merchandise and branded merchandise, which outside of even just sales, selling merchandise is a great marketing tactic. So these are just some of the reasons why I think you guys should think about getting on TikTok. Now, let's say I've convinced you. How do you get started? I'm sure you guys are wondering. Well, it really is something, because it's such a great analytical tool. It has so many options, so many features. It can feel very overwhelming, especially if you come from Instagram or Facebook, where it's really like pick a picture, adjust some of the filters, or like, some of the settings, write your caption. On TikTok, you have the option, 1, to create the video in the app using all of their editing tools. 2, you could create it in your camera phone, edit it outside of the app, and upload it into the app. So there's just so many options because of that I think I always suggest people take this kind of 3-step strategy. 1 is figure out what's your main purpose and goal, because there can be a lot of things and reasons you could be on the app. What's the main goal? Is to straight up make more revenue? Is it a new audience? Is it to gain attention that you average? Is it to gain access to people that you can't get responses from right now? These are all great reasons to be on TikTok, but make sure you understand which one's the main focus for you. Then you want to do some main focus, have your vertical, so to speak. You can go look at who else is creating content that's category kind of similar that you would want to do, and just start pulling out ideas from what others are doing that already works. One of the beautiful things about how TikTok works and why you see hashtag challenges and trends being so popular is because even though we're seeing someone do literally the exact same thing over and over and over again, the person is different. And we are completely fascinated by people and the differences between us. And so you doing what someone else did literally exactly the same is still very interesting to watch. Actually, even especially if I've seen the first person do it, because then my brain can compare the differences between how you did something and how someone else did something, or the visual differences of it. And TikTok, the other thing that's really powerful about it and why this marketing works much more powerfully on TikTok than any other platform is full screen vertical. The fact that the entire phones are big these days is going to be a video, again, requires completely different eye movement for you to track what's going on in the video. When it's a square in the middle of the screen, you can kind of stare at one spot and see everything. When it's your whole phone stretched out, your eyes have to move more to be able to see what's going on. And this actually causes a lot more activity in our brain because of this eye movement. And because we're trying to figure out in the whole picture while only seeing maybe or focusing in on a particular part of the picture. When I say picture, I mean the still of the video that our eye is seeing at one given moment. So after you've created, your main goal and you've done some research, then you want to come up with 3 to 5 video structures, or I call them series. It is so much easier to create content within a series than to think about creating an entirely new piece of content every single day. And really on TikTok, ideally, you want to be posting, I'd say 2 to 4 times a day. That seems like a lot if you come from this other world of maybe use a week on your other platforms. So there's one, it takes a lot less time to make a 10-second video than it does a 5 video, right? 2, you can batch create your content. And this is really what I suggest. So taking one day, all your content for either the week or the entire month in that time period. And same thing, if you can get it all edited, then that's good too. But that opens up not only freedom for posting consistently and not having to stress about what else is going on in your business, but also it opens up the creative part of your brain from going, I have to post a video, to it doesn't think about that anymore. It goes, I've got my videos. I don't have to think of new ideas for videos. What ends up happening though is you do, because your brain has this freedom more. It goes, oh, maybe I could do a video, and you start to be able to add in content, and content because it's really genuinely created in a moment of creativity has, I believe, a better chance of going viral. So oftentimes those videos that go really viral on TikTok were kind of like spur of the moment or in the moment. Someone thought because they'd been using TikTok long enough, oh, this would make a good TikTok video, and they pulled out their phone and they snapped it real quick. That's not a good sustainable strategy as a business for being able to do that all the time. But when you can add that into your already strategy of, we've got 3 series is around walkthroughs, like we just do walkthroughs to dope music. You guys can look that up. Very successful type of video already. Video series, maybe you want to do an educational series, which I highly, highly suggest. Everyone who is on TikTok should post educational content. Really, you should be posting educational content on every single platform that you're on because it builds incredible brand loyalty, brand trust, and it's hugely valuable. Like when you educate your customers, they love you for that. And they're much more likely to spend a higher amount of money if they're educated as well. So going through this process of, I'll summarize it again. First, figuring out your main goal, then doing research and seeing what other creators are doing successfully, pulling out patterns. Then it's figuring out video series and batch creating your content. That is pretty much the flow of TikTok. And if you're thinking, that sounds like a lot, hard, you guys. It really shouldn't be easy. If you're learning new things that are easy, you should try learning harder things. You get through the learning phase of understanding what TikTok is, how it works, it's much, much faster. I spend way less time now posts that do way better on TikTok ever did on Instagram. And the great thing is TikTok's a vertical pillar where, guess what? I'm not posting on Instagram anymore. I'm literally just sharing the TikTok videos I've created that are the best onto my Instagram. And guess what? If a TikTok video, this has been a direct correlation for me, the better a video performs on TikTok, the better it will perform on Instagram. Straight up, if a video did 100,000 views and I posted on Instagram, it'll typically do, let's say, 4,000 to 6,000 views. If I post something that got 1 million views, it'll get 12,000 views. So there's a very direct correlation to if people liked a video on TikTok, that means it was a good video. Like a good video is a good video, whether you're interested in the content or not. And that's a fascinating concept, I think, for people to think about is you can market to people who aren't even interested in selling yet. And the reason I say yet is human beings go through this thing where they go, I'm never going to do this, or I will see myself doing this. And then 2 years later, they're doing it, right? Like we change so often and we change our opinions so often that building in some will pay out so huge for you guys. And I really, really encourage you all to, I would say, focus a little bit more on ways you can create value for your customers, and then how that translates to the digital space and how you can trade that and connect with your customers through that value that you're creating.
Great, thank you so much, Marianne. That was very
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
It's a bit sad that we were not able to see your presentation, but maybe afterwards you can share it with us, and then we share it with the attendees if it's possible.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it over, and if you have somewhere to post it, definitely.
Great. Thank you so much. So, and we will move to Shelly.
Hi. Okay, let's share my screen here.
Great.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today, and thank you, LuggageHero, for inviting me. So today I'm going to be discussing the topic that is on everyone's mind, COVID-19. And more specifically, I'm going to be looking at how property management companies are adapting their business models according to new travel personas emerging to help ensure longevity in post-pandemic times. My name is Shelly Grumet. I'm the business development manager at short-term rental property management software Guesty. So for those of you who don't know us, Guesty is an end-to-end platform that really automates and simplifies property managers' day-to-day operations, whether it's guest communication with a unified inbox, channel management, task management, staff management, right? Guesty is a real robust end-to-end solution that helps property managers focus on what matters most, which is growth. Our platform is a one-stop shop where not only do we have integrations with the world's largest OTAs like Airbnb, Booking.com, HomeAway, and more, but also vetted third-party solutions that provide value and share the same goals that we do to our users, which is, again, making property management much easier. These solutions range from pricing tools like Wheelhouse and Price Labs, keyless access, luggage storage like LuggageHero, right, and many more, so that our users can build really powerful tech stacks that are connected to their operating system. So let's just get right into it. Some of you may be wondering,
Shelley, sorry to jump in, but I think your screen is not sharing.
Oh,
it's actually
okay. Better.
Only just turning, or if everybody can see it, then it's just going to be.
I can see it.
Okay, perfect.
You guys see my screen? Do you see it now? I see it. Okay, great.
I have people running. Yes.
Okay, so tell me again if you don't see it. Thanks, Simon. So, how badly has COVID-19 impacted the short-term rental industry? Well, as you can see, it's been significant. This isn't news to everybody, right? Occupancy and future reservations are down and, are actually still down worldwide. OTAs and property management companies saw unprecedented amount of cancellations in just such a short amount of time. And also, we conducted a survey of over 400 property management companies worldwide, and almost all of them reported significant revenue loss for Q1 and Q2. And I'm going to get back to the survey in just a little bit. So although there's no way to tell what the future is going to hold, and all of us are in the same situation, we do know that travel will return. It just may look differently than what we're used to. So what's actually also happened here is new travel personas and guest expectations have arisen. So first, we saw a number of new travel personas come about, like displaced and stranded travelers who couldn't get out when borders closed, cityscapers who were looking to get out of really condensed cities and get around some green so they weren't stuck looking at buildings all the time, right? Quarantiners where, they were looking for a more enjoyable place to stay in quarantine, healthcare and frontline workers that had to be separated from their families so they didn't expose them. And also another type of persona, such as the digital nomad, who was looking for a nice work from home environment, or, again, was looking for an upgrade to where they were staying. Now, what was also interesting during this time is these travelers weren't just changing, and these personas weren't just changing, so was the length of stay. And during COVID, what we saw was that there was an increase in average nightly stay, and that, increased from 4.5 days to 9 days on a global level. Another thing that we saw were a lot of property management companies were migrating to, of course, be able to support these longer stays and starting to introduce flexible booking policies and flexible listings to their portfolios. We also saw this actually also, put a check of Airbnb also did the same thing, right? Where they introduced their monthly stays program and saw 20% more long-term bookings than they did prior to COVID-19. So these longer stays are, like I said earlier, are showing an increase in this trend of flexible inventory, where, again, what we're seeing is that more and more property managers are looking into extended stays and adding that to their portfolio. The US right now is also, what's great about this is it's also showing an uptake in reservations. Oh, sorry, I was showing the wrong slide. That's why I didn't understand what was going on. Going back here. So we just talked about how, right, to introduce flexible inventory and business models into your business models. And now what we're also seeing is positive trends that recovery is on the horizon. The US is leading this with volume of reservations across the board that actually increased by 83% compared to last April. And also other countries are seeing signs of recovery, such as Australia, UK, Canada, and France. And also what's happening here is that the average night rate is also increasing, which is a great sign of recovery. Italy, also, one of the countries that was hit hardest by COVID, is currently seeing 140% increase in new reservations in May compared to April, which is fantastic news, right? And inside this, Milan and Como are both recovering fast with 56% and 240% increase respectively in bookings. So again, there's still a long way to go until we're fully recovered and back to pre-COVID ways, but it's really great and really optimistic to see that recovery is happening and we're seeing all of these statistics worldwide. So how can property management companies prepare for the return of travel, provide top-notch guest experience, introduce extended stays into their existing portfolios, and even prepare for a potential second wave, which I know is on everybody's mind? Well, Guesty is here to help. So first, and the first tip that we want to show here is incorporating extended stays into your business model. So when doing this, there's a way to do this where you can offer discounts or of 10% or more on monthly stays and incentivizing guests to book longer with you. You can do this manually. You can also use tools like Guesty's own yield management or dynamic pricing tools like Price Labs and Wheelhouse to do this. These are solutions on our marketplace, and make sure you're automating those pricing strategies and staying up to market trends, on top of market trends. Another way you can incorporate this is also by introducing automated communication, right? Of course, as we're looking to do more contactless relationships around us, this is going to be key in making sure that your contactless strategies are really up to date. So instead of you now meeting those guests, send them all of that information that you need them to have beforehand automatically. Another great solution that you guys can do and incorporate is rental agreements. So not only if there are health waivers that need to be signed prior to stays, but also to have agreements in place to reduce chargebacks or fraud, which is always a risk, but could also be more of a risk during COVID. Now, we talked about contactless strategies, and implementing tech that limits humans' interaction is a must during this time. So there are a number of solutions out there. Simon showed many solutions in his presentation. The solutions I'm showing here are all on our partners on our marketplace. And you can see that you have self-check-in and checkout tools out there, keyless entry or physical lock boxes to use, tech that manages your cleaning staff remotely while still making sure that all of your criteria are being met, and automated messaging tools like Guesty has. And combining all of this together is the key tech stack to have when trying to battle and navigate through COVID-19. So another tip that we propose here is appealing to these new travel personas that we spoke about earlier. So first, reconsider your minimum stay policies. Also offering more flexible cancellation terms. These 2 points here are really to reduce trauma, to address the trauma that a lot of guests experienced at the beginning of COVID when everybody was canceling and there was a lot of panic. Doing these 2 strategies will not only limit those barriers for booking, but it will show that you're appealing to guests right now and making sure that you understand that this is what the guest needs in order to book with you right now. Another tip that we have is highlighting your cleaning procedures. So not only having them, being really strict about what cleaning is doing, but showing the guests that that's exactly what you're doing and you're taking extreme measures to keep their health safe and secure, right? So whether that you're listing all of the products you're using in your listing advertisements on your own website, on Airbnb, booking.com, certifying yourselves and posting that certification. These are all great steps to take when trying to show the guests that you really have their health and best interest in mind. Amenities. So stocking up on amenities, toilet paper, robes, towels, everything that can make a guest feel more at home and, feel like they are in the place that they can be really secure and not feel like they're outside of their homes. And also providing entertainment on top of these amenities. So Netflix, right? PlayStations, games, cards, whatever you guys are thinking, but it really will show the guests that wow, I could really stay here for a long time, right? And that's exactly the idea. And last but not least, travel bubbles. So right now, your marketing strategies are probably to target domestic travelers, because that's the type of travel that is allowed right now and what is the most prominent type of reservations we're seeing. But as we continue, and we're already seeing this, for example, between Israel and Cyprus and other countries around, is that countries are making deals with each other to create these travel bubbles to allow a safe bubble for travelers to fly in and be able to go and visit different countries without the fear of COVID. So making sure that you're staying on top of these new travel bubbles that will arise, or new government pieces of restrictions or regulations, right? It's very important, especially when trying to optimize your bookings right now and recover after those cancellations that you experienced. And with that, I did want to take a minute and talk about what Guesty has done to help really combine and make it easy for all of the industry, not just our own users, but the entire industry, to process this news, whether it be from media, so from government resources, from industry experts, right? All of this information that is being passed around, you can find that in Guesty's Coronavirus Info Center, where we're talking about mitigating impact, staying informed, how to price appropriately, addressing these new traveler personas that we saw, and many more guides and tips and tricks to really navigating through this time. And in that resource center, you can also find the industry report that we just did, which is where we surveyed over 400 property management companies about the impact of COVID-19 on their business. 22% here talked about having flexible cancellation policies, which is something that we recommended earlier. And also 18% talked about how reducing daily rates is something that's also helping them navigate through this time. So it was definitely across the board seen, and also just to give you more of a sneak peek here of what you'll find in that industry report. So from that survey, we found that 51 to 75% reported a decrease in revenue from Q1 to Q2, right? 41% also reported, though, that no change in cancellations were done for September and November, meaning that travelers are really gearing up for winter travel or Labor Day in the US, right? These big moments in the year, and really are holding on to their traditions. And last but not least, that 38% are diversifying their business models to include extended stays of 28 days or more. So all of these things are what we spoke about in our presentation. But really, if you're interested in reading more, that guide can be found on the COVID Resource Center. But I have to, end on a good note, right? I always have to end on an optimistic note, and the future looks bright, and that's really what is exciting and pushing us all forward, because we know that travel will return. And right now, domestic travel is picking up faster than international. We know that guests are actually more likely to opt for private rentals over hotels right now, because these private rentals are ensuring more isolated settings, and also they're able to hold longer stays, which means that now, because of that, we're going to see longer stays than before. And lastly, we're seeing early signs of recovery, with reservations growing and average nightly rates also improving globally. So thank you guys so much. Again, our future looks bright, and we're on the road to recovery. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself. This is my email, or Guesty. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Many great ideas and insights and tips for property managers to definitely take on. So I'm not sure we have any more questions from the chat. I can see that Simon has responded to actually mine's question. But yeah, if we don't have any more questions, then I would just like to say a big thank you to all of you to join us today and share your knowledge with us. And thank you all to all the participants that they also spend the time with us here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much. Have a nice evening. Thank you, guys. Bye.